Welcome everyone to episode 7 of Rivals and Rants. It's the dawn of the first week of Marvel Rivals Ignite, and I've got a special guest crew here of Knuten from Zero to Nasty, JoRoCo here from Blood Kariudo. We'll figure out on the podcast how it's pronounced, and Cyber here from Dark Zero. There's been a lot of change-ups in the scene since we last had Cyber on, so great to have you back here from the first episode to now. But Knuten, I got to start the show off by saying congrats to you and the team at Zero to Nasty. Gained the victory over the weekend on that VGL Season 2 tournament. You only dropped a single map the entire time and then really showcased that, hey, EU Tier 1, maybe a bit more than just a rung above NA Tier 2.
I mean, like, we had to log in, you know. Had to steal that American oil money. It did be like that.
Oh man, it just felt interesting too, like looking at the competition for these kind of tournaments. I mean, JoRoCo, seeing where you guys come from, Blood Kariudo as well, like scrimming any like maybe tier 2 teams compared to the scene that's out there in EMEA. There's so many memes around there that people are like, oh, the EMEA rosters are only as good as like the bottom of the Ignite teams that are out there. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, I think there's a lot of really strong teams in EMEA. I mean, obviously, there's the argument that it's very top heavy with the likes of VP, but I think as of recently, a lot of teams have been catching up to speed. I mean, we saw quite recently Baba take a couple maps off a VP, so I think things are getting quite strong at the moment. So I don't think there's any reason to doubt any of the teams.
Exactly. And I feel like this win from Zero to Nasty helped cement that even more so, because again, you guys pretty much showcased your skills in all of the matchups that we saw. Yep. Definitely recommend going and checking out the VOD for that too, because you guys basically just quadruple banned Vanguard in the last map and still won when you forced them to go dive. It was amazing. I mean, Knuten, did you guys have a specific process going into that because you were playing on ping that entire event?
Yeah, well, I think the only problem was that like sometimes we were flying around a little bit. We paused like a couple of times because it's kind of funky when you jump or move. Like it kind of like you go forward, but it takes you backwards. It's very funky. But there was not really any progress. We just played the games, you know, and won.
That's what we like to see. You know, play the games and win. That's what it's all about. Process. Exactly. And Cyber, now that we have you on here fully on a new organization in Dark Zero, got to say congratulations for that as well. How does that feel to go from being on Magnets, a team that kind of like came together right before MRC from what I heard, then going into the top 4, placing pretty well for that, and then now being on a organization such as Dark Zero?
First of all, I want to say thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It does mean a lot. I think it's like a different structure completely. Like at first, like it was like more so like we would just show up, like we would like VOD review for a bit and play, but now it's like there needs to be like a level of structure whenever we do anything, like our practice, our VOD reviews. Like it needs to be like more like tight.
Nice to see. I'm sure having that like org support as well makes it easier, just in terms of getting that coordination organization together as you prepare for an event like Ignite. And talking about Ignite, I mean, we got to see this amazing blog post that gave us so much information. It says all you need to know, but it's not everything you need to know about Ignite just yet. So we're going to go through it, kind of break things down of what is publicly known so far. We had some stuff that was leaked just today as we are getting ready for this podcast on exactly what some of the brackets look like. The other ones for EMEA haven't been posted yet, so we'll kind of get our predictions on what we know on the back end. Can't leak anything on our side, got to say for that. But we'll have some tier list power rankings of sorts on who we think is going to make mid-season, who's going to make playoffs for those two regions. For Asia and OCE, I'm not as informed on those, so not really focusing on those too much, but definitely recommend you guys that are watching just to keep me informed as well if you have specific teams that we should keep our eyes on for those regions and for China as well. But Jesse, if you could do the pleasure of bringing up that lovely blog post so that we can kind of break things down, go through the schedule on. Well, we had a bit of a delay, but now this is everything you need to know for at least stage 1 of Marvel Rivals Ignite. So we had the qualifier stages, but now we have kind of 3 weeks of competition, aside from like China, who's on like an offset, probably just based on some other stuff that's going on over there. But you have 2 weeks of group stages and a week of playoffs. And it's just interesting to see that this is the format that they came up with because we got delayed a week. I mean, JoRoCo, I don't know, like for you guys going into this qualifying off of those open qualifiers into the event itself for Blood Kariudo, this is not a like crazy turnaround time. Like it is a crazy turnaround time for you guys. Immediately going for that, having like a week break where initially you weren't going to have that to prepare for 3 weeks straight of competition, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak too much about it. This is my first time doing anything like this. But I can just for the team though, we've basically just had a little bit of a talk and just said like things are coming up really quickly. We haven't got a lot of time to prepare. We're just trying to get as much in every single day and try to do the best we can.
I mean, that's really all you can do on that end. And Knuten, I mean, talking about how you guys have been preparing for Ignite as well. You've had some roster changes here and there between when we used to see you guys back on Ecstatic and Marvel Rivals Invitational and now all the way to Zero Tenacity and its current form of it. I mean, did you guys know well in advance that Ignite was going to be a thing, or were you just kind of going about as a roster and then figured out, oh, this dropped, we got to get things sorted out on who's going to actually be on the team? Like, what's that process like for you guys?
Yeah, well, we had no idea. I think no one knew Ignite was a thing. And then, like, suddenly at 3 drops, $3 million tournament, everyone's like, oh, wait, hold up. This is a viable esports scene now all of a sudden. What the fuck? And, you know, then everyone starts flooding in. That was the problem to begin with, right? Like, the organizations, I'm sorry, I'm eating licorice, stuck in my mouth.
Oh, good.
It's kind of like the problem was that it's kind of a bet because, you know, you don't know what's after that MRI, you know, which was like why the initial teams flooded in was the MRI, right? And there was nothing, and then like people were like, do we want to take that risk? And then, you know, Ignite came out of nowhere, and then, you know, we decided to resign again after MRI only because of Ignite, you know. Because obviously organizations or businesses, right? If there's no if there's no tournaments, there's no ecosystem. So orgs can't join the scene.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the reason why they went so quickly with the announcement when they did, so that people and organizations were like, oh, we should continue to keep stuff going on this. And it's my cat, by the way, for that as well. But either way, talking about kind of that process on the other side of the pond here, Cyber, for you guys, I mean, you had MRC, and then it was kind of like a couple weeks later that we saw the announcements for Marvel Rivals Ignite, which is also an MRI. So it's just kind of seeing that turnaround for you guys. Where were you just waiting for like the next maybe Marvel Rivals Invitational, hoping that you'd get an invite to that, and then saw this was announced, you're like, oh shoot, we got to get things like really figured out on who we want to be that final fill-in, and Hogs ended up filling you guys' roster a little bit there as well.
Yeah, I mean that's why it was like so hard for us to kind of find an org, because like there was just like no like transparency like with like orgs like about like the timeline of events like happening, like when like Ignite would like drop or like anything in the future. It's kind of just like players would like hear like something and then they'll like become a rumor or something. And that's it.
Sorry, I had to move my cat.
No, yeah, you're good.
But no, that makes a lot of sense, especially because there's just so much that was up in the air at that point in time, and then it just tended to be a scramble for a lot of people to actually get things figured out in so short of a time frame. And then they just literally released the schedule this week. We didn't even have the schedule like before when it was supposed to start last week, which is insane to think about. So nice to see that they actually have a concrete schedule here. If you want to move down a little bit there, Jesse, as well, based on how we see this like stage 1 match schedule 2, and you see MRC season 2, like the playoffs for that are right after the playoffs for Marvel Rivals Ignite stage 1. So I'm assuming instead of like broadcasting more of MRC, they're going to only be broadcasting those playoffs, and then they'll have like the China stage 1 playoffs there just to keep the schedule going. But basically end of July is when mid-season is probably going to be. So you'll only have like 2-3 weeks of downtime. I'm assuming there will be like another season at that point that they'll get prepared for it. So we'll have to really see what their strategy is going to be going forward for that as well, especially with stage 2, because again, once we get to, I think it was season 3, they said every month there's going to be a new hero, new meta. And talking about that, JoRoCo, I mean, seeing some of the other teams who had to qualify through that second qualifier and play in between patches, hopefully we don't have to deal with that too much with Ignite.
I would hope not. I think because I wouldn't say struggled, but the different immediate change from the last patch to the new one has hit things in an awkward way. I mean, a lot of teams were getting used to Cap Psylocke as like the meta with dive, and then just completely flipped on its head to a more of a poke meta now, and it's a little bit awkward, but I think teams are adjusting quite well.
Yeah, I've definitely seen, especially because that extra week has been given, that has helped teams a lot. I mean, talking about that, Knuten, going into Ignite, do you think this tournament that you played in this past weekend for the playoffs and playing against, tier 2 teams, not the exact teams that you'll be playing in Ignite, kind of helped you guys prepare, see different comps that people are playing to get ready for Ignite?
Yeah, I think it helped us fine tune, what actually works and what doesn't. And I think that's like very important because you can only do so much scrimming and find out from the same teams. Oh yeah, what works, what doesn't. So having that like the diversity was very important to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Sorry, just answering chat that the cat wants everyone to know her power rankings, and that's why she's kind of being all over the place right now.
Like, yeah, makes sense, right?
Exactly. That's what a lot of people are here to figure out. But we'll go through power rankings, things of that sort at the end of this episode. Let's look at the tournament format, and this is where a lot of people were kind of confused on what this is looking at. Jesse, if you can actually make that one a bit bigger, just because the text is a little bit small. Thank you. Shout out to our producer Jesse in the background. So it's 16 teams into a Group A and Group B. Each group consisting of 8 teams. So it's 2 groups of 8, each group competing in a double elimination format, which basically looks similar to this, as you can see. But that's what the playoffs look like as well. And the top 4 teams from each group qualify for the playoffs that you see the bracket here. So it's going to be all best of 3s, except I think the grand final is going to be best of 5. And going to the other groups as well, I think it is Asia has a double elimination bracket for theirs as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then Asia has a round robin into a double elim. And then OCE has a situation where they have a round robin group into a double elim, but it's so much smaller because they only have 8 teams that qualified for their specific region. So I feel like round robin is the better format all around because you could play against every team that's in your group. Yeah, thank you, Jesse. Just so you can kind of like see the 2 different ones and how much smaller OCE stage is comparatively. Asia is the same, except for their 12 teams are divided into 2 groups of 6 in a double elimination, in a round robin format, excuse me. So they play minimum of 5 matches. And then in OCE, they play a minimum of 3 matches, it looks like, because it's 2 groups of 4. The minimum amount of matches that you're going to be playing in Americas and EMEA is 2. You can go 0-2 and then you're just done. You're not going to play against other top teams. You might just face off against, a couple of good squads here and there, and then you just have a really unlucky bracket. I mean, how are we feeling about this? I want to go with your opinion, JoRoCo, and then we're kind of go across the board with this specific format for Americas and EMEA.
Personally, I think it's a good format. I very much like the idea of doing it round robin, where every team gets to go against each other. It's, as you said, equal opportunities for each team. Yeah.
Yeah, but you think the bracket stage that we have for Americas or EMEA is worse than the round robin, or would you like prefer one or the other? Like, how do you feel about that?
I'm honestly not too sure. I'm still a little bit still confused about the brackets and things like that.
Yeah, so basically this bracket that you see right here, you have to make it at least into that upper bracket finals or lower bracket 3rd round is what it says, to make it into playoffs. So you could have like a really tough team in your first round matchup and then have a bad luck draw based on the 2 groups that are out there, and then just go 0-2 and not have any more chances to recover from that. Whereas in Swiss, you have like a couple more chances with that. If you go 0-3, of course you're out, but you can still pick up some wins and have easier matchups along the road to get to that point. Round robin, you play everyone in your group, so there's a bit more chances for upsets and wins that way. Double elimination brackets, like, you gotta win your 2 matches or you're just screwed. Just kind of give an update on that. I mean, I'll go to the others as well. Do you have any specific thoughts about like round robin compared to the double elimination that you guys have to play?
I think double elimination is way better because it's based on seeding, and
True.
in any other esports as well. I'm pretty sure is seed 1 goes against seed 8. Kind of to weed out the weak. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of mean, but that's the whole point of the format, is to weed out the weak. Because you want to see the best of the best competing. With round robin, weaker teams could slip through because it's a little random. I prefer the double elimination, and if there's a team you can't beat in double elimination, then you're not gonna win anyway. So
that is valid. That's very valid. If you can't beat a team in double elimination, well, then you weren't gonna beat them at the end of it. I mean, there's potential for that comeback if you go through the lower bracket and get revenge, depending on how close it is. But even then, I'm glad it's at least a double elimination bracket and not a single elimination, because that would have been much worse. You just play a single series and then your stage 1 journey is done. At least you have 2 matches. I think most of the lower bracket first round matches are going to be on this Sunday, so we'll already know some teams that are eliminated from that specifically. I'll go over the schedule a little bit later so we can kind of look at that as well. But Cyber, I know you had some opinions on the format for this. What are your specific opinions?
I just don't think it makes any sense. Like, in my opinion, the format, like double elim, if you were gonna make that format, you might as well just make a regular tournament bracket. In my opinion, that makes no sense to like split the groups up. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me to like do the groups like that.
Oh, just have it be like one group then if you're doing double elim?
Yeah, like that's my opinion about it.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it's mainly because they lost a week of when they were going to have like extra coverage and potential of the bracket and everything too. Apparently part of the reason why they delayed things, from what I heard, was like stream stuff. So maybe it was negotiations, maybe it was budget, even that they could only do like 2 weeks of coverage into the playoffs there specifically. I don't really know because I'm not privy to that information, but that's just things I've heard in the background. That's part of the reason why they delayed things a week. But I think a lot of it just came due to the like short turnaround of having the qualifiers, and then literally the same week, the qualifier 2 into the first week of Ignite. Not the way you want to do things that way. So it's good they gave themselves a break for at least a week to get everything sorted. And then also good for teams to have another week to at least prepare, finalize rosters. I mean, we saw Rivals Esports pick up Team 1 in EU there. So a couple of orgs might have had chances, but that also was a really short window too for organizations to try and represent people on that side of things as well. So format, we'll see how effective it is depending on what the brackets are looking like. We'll go over the Americas ones later because those were leaked recently, but the EMEA ones haven't been posted yet, so can't talk too much about that.
And they definitely haven't been leaked either.
Yeah, we'll see if they are at some point. But either way, talking about the other parts of this blog post. Thank you, Jesse, for giving us the big screen here for the format there specifically. So I think if you scroll down a little bit and we get to, it's just telling you specifics about how the groups work for each region. We don't really need to go over that. We kind of talked about that as well. If we can go to the prize pool, there we go. That's what we want. So we already saw this first image of the prize pool breakdown, but 250 for Americas and EMEA, that 100,000 for China and Asia, and then 75,000 for OCE. But they actually came up with the per region breakdowns of what each team is going to get at a minimum. And it's pretty great to see that even in Asia, $2,500 per team, that's more than a team who wins MRC gets for just at least participating. Yeah. So you see that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, is it the chat that's asking things?
No. It's kind of hilarious, the prize pool difference.
Oh yeah. Seeing the differences between the 100,000 and the 250,000 for sure. Yeah, because it's 32,000 for first, and it's 70,000 for first of EMEA and Americas there. Also, it's I think double what you see for like the last placing teams in Americas and EMEA. It's 5,000 instead of 2,500 on that side. I think who is it? Second place in Americas and EMEA gets more than first place in Asia. OCE first place gets more than third place in Americas and EMEA. So, but 8th and 7th get the same in OCE. So if you made it into OCE, which had I think at max like 40 some odd teams that registered, probably 50 total, just based on like new teams for each qualifier. They have 8 teams that make it into this and get that much prize pool, which is awesome for them too. I got to give them, the kudos where it is. It's just, I wish there was more teams interested at that level, and hopefully seeing these prize pool, they're like, oh, this is what stage 1 is like. Very likely to be the same for stage 2. Got to sign up, get my team to the rank to actually like qualify for this stuff. Cause there was teams in OCE in Asia who played 10 matches, didn't win a single game, and made top 32 for the Ignite qualifiers, which is just, that shouldn't be happening.
What?
Yeah. There was at least one team in both those regions, if I remember correctly, for both qualifiers that did that. So, hey.
They didn't play and they qualified.
So they played 10 matches. They lost all of them though, but because they played 10 matches, they made top 32.
That is diabolical. That is diabolical.
Yeah, so maybe some format changes for the qualifiers, at least for the smaller regions, I think would be a better deal there as well. $500 just for playing 10 games is a little bit more than 10 games. I think it was like what? So you had top 32 into top 16, and then you had to win at least one or two more after that. So it's like 13 games, I think, and then you get, $500 per player for that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, 16 maybe, somewhere around there. That's a decent amount for that too, so you don't have to worry as much as you do for a MRC on that side of things. But yeah, prize pool is huge. And I know there was a lot of people out there that were kind of debating, should the bottom teams get this much prizing? But JoRoCo, I mean, before we even got into the broadcast, you're kind of saying that there's a good reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the prize pool difference, it's a bit awkward, but at the same time, I feel like with so many people putting their all into this game and into teams working 24/7, putting hours in, possibly like not being able, the stereotype of professional players is you don't have a life outside of the game. So I feel like having the enough money, enough incentive to be able to turn this into what essentially could be a full-time career, I think is quite good. Obviously, it does get to a little bit of a joke where, you get $500 for playing 16 games, but I generally think that having a good incentive to play the game, to train, practice, and a reward essentially for not being able to go outside and touch grass as often as you might want to, I think it's quite good.
The not touching grass award, that's what we're calling the bottom rung that goes 0-2 or 0-5 or 4 or however many games it is that they play in their group. Oh man. But yeah, I think it is very instrumental, especially when you're starting out for an esport. You need that sustainability of some sort. Even if you don't have a league, just at least having people who participate in the top rung of competition, getting that prizing as a baseline for them to have that motivation to participate. I think the biggest issue that this causes, though, is that it skews people's mindset for tournaments outside of Ignite, outside of MRC. They're like, okay, I'm only going to ever play in Ignite. I'm never going to play in any other tournament unless I get guaranteed this amount of money, right? We've seen that in other scenes where prize pools kind of inflate so much where there's a lot of teams that are out there that are just like, I'm only going to play in the tier 1. I'm not going to focus on anything else community-wise. And then it makes it so everything else kind of falls by the wayside in that end. I mean, Knuten, you guys played in the prizing or the tournament for VGL season 2, and you guys are getting more just for showing up for Ignite than anyone gets total wise for both seasons of that combined. So it's like, do you think that's going to just demotivate a lot of teams to participate in kind of tier 2 events?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like I think it's just important that these tier 2 events exist. I think some people even don't they don't play for the prize pool in the end of the day. They play for the experience. I think in general, you don't expect a huge prize pool from tier 2 tournaments. MRC is a tier 2 tournament now. I think that's the plan going forward. So it makes sense that the prize pools are lower. It's a way to climb the ladder. You prove yourself in tier 2. When you make it to tier 1, you're gonna be rewarded from being tier 1. I think it's a way to motivate you to actually play those leagues.
That's true. That's very true. Looking ahead towards the map pool that we have here, the new map, Rocco is going to be on there with Krakoa. And then we have, of course, some of the ones that we've seen for a while: Hell's Heaven, Midtown, Hall of Jalia, Burning T'Challa, Spider Islands, Yggdrasil Path, and Symbiotic Surface. I mean, any specific thoughts and opinions on these maps that we have here, gentlemen? I mean, and what about you, Cyber? Do you have any strongly worded opinions about the map pool, or do you think this is a solid map pool?
Solid map pool. New map is trash though.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, new map is so garbage. I think it's a good map pool though. Like, unironically, wait, what are the 2 maps they took out? They took out the Loki one, and then they took out. Yeah, those maps were not good anyways. Like those maps were not that good. So like, this is a fine map pool, I think. I like the maps.
I'm trying to think what the maps were before. Let me go back because I know
it was the Loki domination map. And the other spider map with the convergence where you have to cap the point.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I don't remember the names because, bro, how am I supposed to remember these names?
Yeah, no, legit. There's so much shit.
It was Tokyo 2099.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And like Odin's room, Odin's palace, something like that. I think it might have been.
Odin's something palace, yeah, probably.
Yeah, something like that.
I hated both of them, by the way, so I think it's completely found out.
I mean, from my time working with Pell back in the original MRC, Tokyo 29 was the bane of our existence. I cannot say the amount of times we went over that map. I personally didn't hate it, but it was a bit of an awkward map to play on. But at the end of the day, nothing comes close to how unbelievably bad the new map is. I hate that map with every fiber of my being. I don't like it.
Why?
It's just, I feel like the new map, it's just bad. It plays poorly. It feels weird. Having teleporters, I'm looking down main. Oh, suddenly there's a Psylocke like in every single angle and able to get to every other angle using a teleporter. It's just, I don't like it too much.
I feel like the main problem. No. I feel like the main problem that I have with the new map is just if you're attacking, it feels like it's a one lane. But like if you're defending, there's like so many options. There's so many options for the defenders to do, and there's very little options for you to do as an attacker. It feels like whenever I play that map.
I want to add to that. Have you guys ever sat down and just really looked through the map? Like go load into a map seriously, and just look through all the TPs and all the pathways.
Yeah.
Even now I find shit that I had no idea existed. Like, did you know in the spawn room on when you're on sec, to the left there's a hole in the ground that can take you like all the way around. Did anyone know that? No one knew that.
Defenders?
No one. Yeah, attacker to the left.
There was one on the right side that went all the way.
No, there's one to the left, and no, I didn't even know it existed.
Oh.
Like dead ass, load into offline map and look it through. There's so much stuff on the map, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
I didn't know about the left
ecstasy, man. Yeah, I had no idea either, man. I'm looking at everything.
I did go through it the other day a little bit when I was doing a VOD review, and I was just with my team when I went down. I just went, did you know that this place here, like it's like the second point is you go down like one of the sides, no, third point maybe, and there's just this whole wall. Like you go down into this like dead end basically, and it's like, why the hell would this be here? And then the entirety of the left side of the wall can just be broken, and you can just walk out onto the enemy team. And it's like, oh, well, now we know that's there. It's a strange map. I feel like
it is a very strange map. Yeah, I think they are trying to add too many different lanes of entry into different areas with these portals based on the theming for like Krakoa and JoRoCo. I'm really curious what the maps are going to look like for next season too. For season 3, I'm assuming that's going to be happening like before the next before the mid-season is my guess is when season 3 will come out. I'm really curious on what their plans are, if they're going to release it before mid-season or they're going to release it after mid-season. So we see like a whole new meta for the mid-season events, which would be kind of crazy. That's going to be a thing down the line too, is like how the map pool changes, how the meta changes in between these tournaments. I'm glad they're confining all of stage 1, at least the regular season and the playoffs, into season 2.5. That way we don't have that similar situation, JoRoCo, as you were talking about with playing old patch and new patch, like literally the day after it drops and having to figure out all the new intricacies for that. But again, we'll see if this map gets played. I'm sure a lot of people are probably going to try and ban JoRoCo if they can, depending on how the pick ban system is going to work for maps specifically for this. I don't think they've even mentioned how that's going to work for these teams either, based on their schedule and everything else. Do you guys have any insight on like, have they said anything about how the map picks are going to work for that?
I was about to ask, doesn't it? I mean, like, because there's no ban system.
Or are they just doing like random, like they did for the qualifiers?
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't it the first one that's random? Because we can go out for them from like the MRC, right? And then isn't it the first one that's random, and then the loser picks the next one? Or I don't even remember anymore. Does anyone remember?
That's what it was for like qualifiers, but I don't know if that's what they're gonna do for like the actual stage itself. Like maybe the higher seed gets map pick, and then the other team gets like side or something like that. Like that's information that hopefully, I mean, you guys definitely need that information, of course, so you could strategize on what maps are gonna play and modes against the other teams that are out there. But first map always has to be domination, but it's random. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just really curious on what their strategy for that specifically is going to be on that side in terms of map picks and everything else. I mean, I've asked this to every guest that's been on here so far, so I'll ask all of you. We'll go around for it again. But JoRoCo, what are your thoughts? Since I didn't even say your official title, you're the assistant coach and also an analyst for Blood Kariudo on the EMEA side. This advanced pick ban system compared to the like MRC basic pick ban system, how do you feel about it?
Well, originally the original pick ban system, I think, was very basic, very simple, easy to get to grips to. And I think the moment the new one came out, everyone was just confused. I feel like it's a very awkward way to ban things, because I mean now it's an entire different aspect to the game. I mean, you can lose a game purely if you mess up your bans. I know that we have a couple times when we've like scrimmed, we've gone, oh crap, we should have banned this, or we forgot to save that, and we mess up an entire game now because they just get to run something into us that we can't counter. So I think it's really awkward because what's the word? Not a heated opinion. I am a fan of counter watch. I think, if you play something and it gets countered, you need to then re-counter it. So having this really awkward pick ban system where you can pick something for yourself but ban it for the enemy team, I think it overcomplicates things. I think it should be kept plain and simple and just stuck to the MRC one. Because I feel like, especially, at the end of the day, it is only for the higher tier. You don't have to worry about it when playing in your ranked games.
True.
Because I feel like if it was in ranked games, then that's just, I think it's too complex and it would turn a lot of people away from the game. Because as I said, you can lose so easily just from your picks and bans.
Yeah, the chat brings up a good point on this as well. Like, love all the efforts that NetEase has been making recently, but there's definitely a couple things missing. Like, we don't have a complete rule book defining everything for how these systems are going to work, exactly like what the if there's going to have like specific pauses in the matches, depending on if there's disconnects, how long those are going to be lasting, if you only get one or something of that sort, how long the breaks are going to be in between games. Hopefully they don't do like the super long breaks in between games, because yes, I get, giving you guys the time to strategize and get set and all that, but from a viewer perspective, having like a 5 to 10 minute break in between a game is such a snooze fest, and it makes me lose interest when I have my TikTok brain going on if there's like a news thing I can swipe onto, all the time. And I think all these people that are out there that could learn about Marvel Rivals Esports get maybe not as encouraged to watch it because they're like, oh, there's another break. I can go watch someone else or stick with a watch party that Shroud's putting on or something of that sort. And I think it's a bit of a detriment to the game. So hopefully they don't have such long breaks in between the maps specifically there to get things set up for the next round and actually have things flow a lot faster. Because I know, Knuten, I don't know how you felt, but like how we were getting into the next map, pretty much immediately after we did one for the tournament this weekend, it just flows better in my opinion.
Yeah, so I like disagreeing, and I'm actually going to disagree with you again. I think there's other ways that a production can manage to spice up the downtime. I think 10 to 15 minutes per map is a good way to extend, first of all, the stream, and then also push, updates, upcoming stuff, highlights from the match, upcoming match. There's so much you can push on, quizzes, giveaways, a lot of interactive stuff you can push out in between matches to keep people there, So I'd advocate for, the 10 to 5 minute pause to, restroom, get water or whatever, Because a lot of other scenes have the 15-minute break, and they just have so much ready from the production to like fire,
I think it's fine between like series, of course. You definitely need that for a series. But like maybe if you do like the first two maps back to back, and then if you go to map 3, then take like a break in between that, because that's a bit longer, Yeah.
I could go behind that, yeah.
Yeah, because like I think for Call of Duty, I've done a couple broadcasts for like the CCL for that, and then once they go to like a later map, they usually take a break in between, because some of the game modes go a lot longer than other ones too. I mean, Convergence and Convoy longer than Domination typically from what we've seen. So I think it also depends on that as well. Like if you do a Domination into a Convoy, then maybe a bit different. But if it goes super long, then you're like, okay, we got to take a breather so that the people can take their restroom and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, with the broadcast that they have built out, we'll talk about the people that they have on it. Shout out to the people that are doing it as well. But they don't necessarily have a desk. They don't have a host. They have, as far as I'm aware at least, they have forecasters maximum for each of the regions, 3 even for OCE, and I think Asia as well. So there's not really like too many people and too much interaction that you can like build, interactions with chat and have this like analytical content in between and give those updates and do giveaways and all this other kind of stuff. So that's where it's like, it's just a break screen in between, and it really just decreases viewership time and time again. I mean, someone who's worked in broadcast for such a long time, like 8 years now, in other scenes, of course, and just seeing like immediately as we go to break, viewership numbers drop by like the thousands if you have like a decently sized stream that's going on. So the less like break time in between, the better. I know it's good for, the teams to prepare so they can analyze, talk to their coaches and all that kind of stuff, but there just has to be like a happy medium on that end as well. I don't know how you feel about this one, Cyber, on your side, because I know for MRI, there was definitely some like decent breaks in between some of the matches for that, or not MRI, but MRC, I think there was some breaks for that.
Wait. Sorry, can you repeat that question? I
It's
was
all
like
good.
zoned out.
How do you
So
feel about
unfortunate.
like the breaks in between like the maps that we've seen like with the different broadcasts so far for Marvel Rivals?
I think the breaks are like necessary. I don't think they can be like maybe like unless instead of 15 minutes, like it could be like 10 minutes probably. But like it's like a very necessary part because like I'm not gonna lie, like there would be like so many 3-0s if it was just back to back. Like instead of like a 2 minute, like if you give people instead of a 10-minute break, if you give them like a 2-minute break, there would just be so many more 3-0s because there's not like enough time to like talk about what happened, what went wrong, and like actually try and like come to like a valid like solution, like or like something like to go into what next map and like just shift the mindset.
Okay. I understand and respect your guys' opinions on that. That's why I'm asking this question for it. So I guess the biggest thing is just broadcast. I'm looking at you guys and the people that are putting it on. You got to figure out better ways to make it more entertaining for people that are watching and not just have a break screen during these moments. Actually, like break down, have replays and like analytical content in between. Maybe bring on some players at some point to be like, hey, what went wrong with this series? And like talk to us about it and what they could have done better with this specific map. And was it just the pick bands that they lost the game from? Things of that sort, how they can adapt going forward from that and make it more interactive that way. Like you were saying, Knuten on that side. So hopefully in the future, once we do get to a stage like that, they can do things in that fashion. But based on the amount of talent that they have and logistics wise, from what I've seen at least so far, it doesn't seem like that'll be the case. Curious on how it's going to look for the broadcast side of things. We'll see this week exactly what the strategy is going to be for that. But okay, I respect the breaks then. I get it now. I am now on the side that we should keep those breaks just so that, you know, there's that time to strategize and take a breather and figure out the next game plan going forward. And especially with like how important the pick band stage is, you kind of need that to make sure that you could do that. Speaking of the talent though, I do want to give a shout out to the talent who got announced for this as well. I talked to a couple of them and they're like, yeah, we didn't know this was going to be announced the day it was. So shout out to Cozy, Ira, Run, Shib, Vicky Kitty, Dogman for Americas. EMEA, we got Tetcher, Leg Day, got Moxie and Ryan Central. Asia English, we have Multitudes, that one, Dan and Nello Mello. OCE, shout out to Matsia. I believe they're in chat from what I've seen. Profound Rice and Avatar Liger. And then Asia Japan, we have Greeds, Kaiki Kawano, Kosuke I'm so bad at pronunciation. Hariwa. There we go. Sasa and Taika Suda. There we go. I got through it eventually. So shout out to them. And again, you can see with some of the regions, specifically OCE and Asia English, they only have 3 people on their production. So those people are going to be working a lot these next couple of weeks for their broadcast. So give the biggest of shout outs to these people that are working on the official Marvel Rivals Ignite. Also shout out to Ignite for putting out the the applications that they had. Like I got decently far. I tweeted out through the process, almost got on Ignite, but again, budget, other things of that sort. But even seeing that there's people that are just so dedicated to community. I mean, specifically like, you know, Tetcher, Matsy, Cozy and Shib, they've been doing content for such a long time. Dogman's been around the block for like a while. Leg Day, like everyone who's on this list deserves to be there. So I want to give the biggest, you know, kudos to them on that side of things. And I know they're going to kill it. I'm excited to see like how the matches go for that. So if you want to know where you can watch the content and how everything's going on this week and next, and then the week after that, I think it's like 3 weeks straight of competition. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They have the live stream schedule here. Thank you, Jesse. So it's going to be basically 5 p.m. local time where each of these will be starting out for the most part. So I know it's a little different for Americas just because they have to wait a little bit longer for that as well. But 5 p.m.-ish local time is where you'll expect to see those streams. So there's going to be just constant content throughout Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Marvel Rivals for 3 weeks is pretty awesome. I hope people don't get like too overwhelmed by how much gameplay there is going to be. But I mean, as players and people that are involved in this, it's got to feel good that there's this much coverage happening for Ignite. I mean, how do you feel about that, JoRoCo?
Sorry, can you just say that one more time?
It's all good. Because you guys are like involved in Ignite, how does it feel that there's this much coverage happening for 3 weeks straight of like top tier gameplay?
I don't know about the rest of the team, but personally, I'm excited. I love esports. I love watching games. I mean, the fact that I not compete, but I get to be involved in a team in this, it's really exciting. It's fun to see. You know, I think the more content, the better, honestly, well, depending on how much the teams get worked. But I mean, before Rivals, massive fan of Valorant Esports. And, you know, when they go for like a couple hours and then it ends, you finish and you just like, I want more. I want to see my favorite teams play. You know, what teams are going to play next? What teams are going to play who? You know, how's it going to go? Like, from a viewer's perspective, I think the more you can put out, the more everyone enjoys it. Just the more content, the better.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. More content, the better. And hopefully, you know, there won't be any technical issues. Fingers crossed for everything on their end for getting all this stuff going. I know there's probably going to be something that breaks on the streaming side just because there's so much stuff that they're trying to cover during this time. Yeah, I know I'm jinxing it. I'm sorry, everyone. But that's just how the productions go. So if there are any issues with any of that stuff while you're watching these matches, just please give the production team some time because, again, this is the first season ever that we're having Marvel Rivals Ignite, this massive tournament. Yeah, they've done some broadcasts before, but they might not have the best overlay that you're looking for. That like Rivals Fight Night, shout out to those guys, have been doing like great work iterating on every week for that, or you know, having the actual like bans of who you can't play on the screen at all times so people know, oh, I don't have to ask a chat like every 2 seconds who's been picked and banned on the other side, things of that sort. If they don't have that implemented right away, they'll probably get that towards, you know, later stages of the tournament, and it's just going to take time to get better and better and better. And if there are issues from the start, well, that's how things progress through a broadcast. So definitely give them some wiggle room on that is all I got to say. But we do got to talk about the brackets that we know of for Ignite. Shout out to Mace. They tweeted out the 2 pools for Americas here. So we're going to take a look at them, break them down a little bit, showcase both of them, and then kind of give our predictions on who we think is going to be like top 4 out of them just based on the matchups. We don't have to necessarily like break down every single game for Americas because that would take a while, but I do want to go over them specifically. Jesse, you could throw us into whichever pool that you have for it first lined up on that end. But this is Pool A. So 100 Thieves versus Luminosity, Shikigami versus Jobless, FlyQuest versus EgoDef, Envy versus Solaris. Cyber, we were kind of talking about this one before, how this is basically like 3 teams and then everyone fighting for 4th, right?
Yeah.
We got Envy, we got FlyQuest, we got 100 Thieves. Who do you think is going to be that 4th team?
Who do I think is going to be that 4th team? This is like pretty tough, but I'm not going to lie. Like, it's going to be Solaris probably. It's just going to be Solaris.
I got you. I mean, they've looked pretty solid recently, especially from what we've witnessed in other competitions. How do you think their run's going to go? So I'm going to bring this up so we can actually look at the specific breakdown of the bracket and kind of go through it. So let me share my screen here, Jesse, so you can see it on my end as well for this. Just making sure I'm sharing the right one. I think this is it. Yeah. There we go. So this is the actual bracket that they have and how things will kind of like look. I just made this myself. It's not, you know, the actual thing, but this is what it'll look like. So we have 100 Thieves versus Luminosity, Shikigami, Jobless, FlyQuest, EgoDef, Envy, Solar. So we can kind of say it's going to be 100 Thieves being the winner over Luminosity. We kind of expect that, right? I don't think there's any debate about that. Shikigami and Jobless, that's the question here too. How do we feel this new Shikigami roster is?
I feel like they have like pieces like that can be good, but like it's just a matter of like, do they have enough time to make it work?
Gotcha. So would you say Shiki or Jobless have the edge right now?
I think Jobless right now is like probably better.
Jobless. I
really hope Jobless makes it all the way through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I have no idea who plays on the team, dude, but the name just gives me like,
is great.
Yeah, it just gives me. I just hope, you know, they make it, man.
Have a really good style on their side is what I saw when I was looking at the VODs for their matchup against Alani Win, I think it was. They took down to qualify. FlyQuest, we kind of know that they're likely going to get that win over EgoDef. Envy probably over Solaris. I mean, Envy's kind of what we've said is the #1 team out there. Do you think Solaris might take a map against them, Cyber?
I think they have a chance to, like, it depends. It really depends. Because I think Envy like probably should just win that match. I think they like have like the players that understand the fundamentals of the game like the best, like in the scene at least. But like I don't really know like how it's gonna work because like Solaris.
Yeah, that's why I'm just putting like wins for now. I'm not putting like numbers on who's gonna come out on top and all that.
Because the problem is that the problem with Solaris is that like they'll probably just show up and play some weird shit that you don't really have that much practice against, and they could just like cheat. They could just cheese a win like for free. So it's like
that makes
really
a lot of sense. So looking at Shikigami and Luminosity, how do we feel those two teams are gonna kind of meet up against each other then?
Again, it really all depends because like Shikigami, like if they like crack down to actually like care enough, like I think like they have a chance. But like right now, I would probably say Luminosity just wins.
Okay, so we'll get Luminosity the win. I'm assuming we're giving Solaris the win over Ego Def because we were saying that they might potentially be that number 4. Go ahead with that.
Yeah.
So this is what the top 6 would look like. 100 Thieves versus Jobless Bums, FlyQuest versus Envy. Loser of FlyQuest versus Envy plays Luminosity. Loser of 100 Thieves and Jobless Bums plays Solaris. So I think we can go ahead and give the win to 100 Thieves on that one. Just based on what we've seen before. FlyQuest versus Envy, though. That's my question on this one, Cyber. How are we feeling those two stack up against each other currently?
I'm not gonna say anything about some of the players, like the player-to-player stuff. I'm gonna keep it like strictly about the teams. I think like in order for FlyQuest to win, I think they have the flexibility like compared to a lot of teams, so that's why they're able to keep up with like most of these higher tier teams because of how flexible they are on like most comps. But in order for them to win, they need to kind of level up and then like play up to like their competition. Because like they've always like been in these situations where they can play against like these really good teams. They've been in these spots before, but it's like about like them like taking it to the next level, like for like some of the people, I think.
Makes a lot of sense. So we'll give Envy that win over them for now. See if they can actually come back for it as well. But FlyQuest, Luminosity, I'm assuming we're going to go for FlyQuest on that one as well to make it forward. Other end, Jobless versus Solaris. You guys are saying Jobless has potential, but do you think Solaris still got this one? Solaris got this one?
That's Solaris wins. The difference between Jobless and Solaris is that Jobless has one player that has like insane, like could like be like really good, and then like, but Solaris has like multiple like different angles they can attack you from with their players. Like they have multiple good players. Like great
JoRoCo,
players.
Have you guys scrimmed against any of these like top 4 teams that we have in this specific pool at all? Do you have any insight?
No, I mean, coming from EMEA, no one really enjoys playing on 180 ping.
It's that VP.
So yeah, so we tend to stay away from that. Coming from myself, I do watch some of the very top heavy teams, so like 100 Thieves, Sentinels, that kind of thing. I've caught a couple NV games here and there, but yeah, no, we tend to stay away from NA. There's a couple things the teams we might be playing now and then, but again, no one enjoys playing on 180 ping. It's much more beneficial for everyone to just play on their home servers.
Makes sense. Well, to wrap up this pool A, here,
Wait, also have one more thing. I have one more thing to say about the Solaris versus Jobless Bums. I also think like it's no shot to the players. I just think like that Infamy guy unironically makes it look like everyone else is the average on his team.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, just based on like the aim that they have currently as well. So it really just comes down to like how some of the other teams perform against them, specifically if they can solo out Infamy against the rest of the squad, then that might be enough for the win there. Assuming FlyQuest will get the win here, so it really just comes down to who do you think is going to get the top seed out of pool? I think this is pool A or pool B, one of those pools. It's a pool for it as well.
Who do I think is going to win between Solaris and like FlyQuest, or?
Well, yeah. So we're thinking FlyQuest will get the win on that one, but 100 Thieves over Envy. Who do you think is going to take the number 1 seed out of their pool?
It all depends on how much 100 Thieves wants it.
Valid. That's valid.
Because like I think 100 Thieves unironically has like the personnel to be Envy. Like they just need to like care enough to win. I think that's all like it comes down to.
Let's say they care enough for the first one, then maybe the Envy comes back in the lower bracket sort of deal.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to say it.
I mean, like for all those for both those two teams, like what will like come down to like them being like each other? It's like how much do they want to win?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing too, because essentially these matches, once you get into the top 4, are just seeding for the playoffs, so they don't really matter as much. Yeah, you want to have a better matchup, but the other bracket is a lot easier than the bracket they're currently playing. No offense to the teams that are in there, but seeing how things go for that. So let's say Envy get the win at the end of that. So top seed out of them, then 100 Thieves, then you have FlyQuest, Solaris, and then you kind of go down from there. This is what the other pool looks like as well. Then this is the one that you guys are in, which I'm a bit more interested to hear your opinions about. So we have Sentinels versus Alani Win, Nightmare versus Citadel, Shroud X versus Techie XD, Dark Zero versus Nemesis on this one. Yeah, thank you, Jesse, for bringing that one up, because it's a bit different on this, actually, now that I think about it. based on how they have it there. So some of the matchups in the lower bracket might be a bit different now I think about it. So Citadel versus Nightmare, we're saying Citadel probably going to have the edge there, right? I know a lot of people on the podcast last week were saying Nightmare is going to be like that bottom out team. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, they're gonna show. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sentinels will get that win over Alani, I'm assuming as well.
Yeah, they should. Like, yeah, they for sure should.
Now, how do you feel?
Bro. Yeah,
you guys are against Nemesis.
bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, no disrespect to anyone on their team, bro, but like, legit, I think like as long as we show up and like play like with confidence, bro, like we're gonna beat that team, bro. We are going to beat that team.
Okay. So you think it's going to be you guys, Sentinels, and then Nemesis and Shroud X potentially, or one of Citadel and those teams, depending on what the bracket looks like?
I think it's going to be like between my team. There's 5 teams that could possibly, or even 6, like honestly from like the pool. Like there's like, because again, I don't think it's like anything to like Nemesis, because I honestly think if we like block out like in any of like in any of the games, like they can beat us. But like I think it's between like my team, Nemesis, Shroud X. It's between every team that isn't Nightmare and Alani one.
Even Techie XD?
Yeah, Techie XD has like really good pieces. They just haven't scrimmed that much. They don't have the experiences of other teams, but they have good pieces.
So maybe an org can get them together is what I'm hearing. But still, we're not going to predict this one because you guys are in it. And I feel like we leave this up to people out there to give their opinions on how they think this one's going to go instead. But thank you, Jesse, for bringing that up. We don't have the brackets for EMEA because they haven't been leaked as they were before for the Americas ones. But I do have a little bit of a tier list for this one instead. So now we get the EMEA people to participate a little bit more on this one. Let me get the window for it. There we go. And then I need to make this presentation mode. Perfect. So Jesse, I'm sure you're going to have fun with this one. And so for Knuten and also our lovely guest here as well, JoRoCo, because the categories I went with for this, so mid-season, allegedly, take this with a grain of salt. Allegedly, there's only 2 teams for at least Americas that are making it into mid-season. I'm assuming it's the same for EMEA. China, I'm assuming, has 2 as well. It might be Asia, though, that has 2. Don't know exactly which one. And then whoever doesn't have 2 out of those has 1 is my guess. And then OC only has 1, supposedly, making it all the way to mid-season. Supposedly, mid-season is only 8 teams, is what I've been hearing, at least in the rumor mill. So only 2 teams out of all of this are making mid-season, supposedly. Who do we think those teams are going to be?
I have a question real quick. Because if it's 8 people in mid-season, then what about the final, the grand final?
The final might be 8 people again, is my guess, unless they decide to change it up, do 16 that way because it's the grand finals. But in terms of what I've heard for mid-season is that it's just going to be 8 teams. Don't know if they've changed that, but that's what I've heard. So again, this is just from sources. This isn't from official NetEase or anything about that. So take it with a grain of salt. They could have changed things during the last time that I heard that information, but VP, and then it's basically a race for who we think is going to be in playoffs. So let's put the teams that we think are going to make playoffs. We know the brackets ourselves, right? Kind of who's there, JoRoCo and Knuten. I mean, how do you guys feel these other teams are going to make playoffs?
It's kind of spicy now. It's getting spicy now. It's a little spice. Because last time I was joking, last podcast, anyone that wasn't there, there was they made the rankings, right? And then you're sitting there, and now I'm in the hot chair. Bro. Now it's hard. No, I don't want to say anything. Yeah. No, I think for O2, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. As much as I love Dusty, I think it's Dusty.
What?
Dusty O2.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then I think the second contender for O2 is either. Oh man, fuck me. No, I can't say it. I don't want to say it. Can you take over, JoRoCo? I can't. I don't have the heart. I simply don't have the heart.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I can't.
We'll be harlots, right?
Hey, wait,
so,
you're pussy? You're a pussy?
I feel bad.
I think if we're being honest with ourselves, it's probably going to be OG. It's probably going to be OG.
O2.
I worked with them for a while. I love the team, but I feel like they just haven't had maybe enough. I know they've been working hard. I just feel like they haven't had enough time
So
together
many
and
nice
just
people on
go
the team, bro.
sideways.
Oh,
So,
my heart.
Yeah, I know.
My heart, bro.
Fucking-
No.
Abu, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How many teams is it again that gets
So
goes
it's
in the
4
O2 bracket?
in O2.
Four and O2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
gonna
have
say-
one
I'm-
from each bracket so far, from what
I'm going to say Shmungus as well. I think they're probably going to go
Shmungus?
0-2.
Okay.
I mean, they don't scrim. Most of them are OTPs.
I've heard they're
so-
playing OG. So
playing
one of those
OG?
teams aren't going 0-2.
Oh, wow.
supposedly.
Okay. Yeah.
Supposedly.
All right.
So one of them actually makes it through then, if
One of
that's
them-
the case.
Wins a game.
I think maybe we'll put. Oh God, who wins? OG versus Shmungus. That's a close one. I think I'm
I have no idea. I think Smunk again. I'm so sorry. I'm so
We'll go
sorry.
Shmungus. We'll put
I'm so
Shmungus
sorry.
just
We're
above
going
OG.
Shmungus?
I think it's
Okay,
Smunk, man. I'm so sorry. I love the OG roster, man. They're so nice people.
Oh
Okay.
God. I've literally just finished all my uni work, so I haven't even had the time to watch most Fight Night stuff. So I like everything. So I'm a
Who
little bit not
else?
too brushed up on some of the lower down teams, but
What about okay, we can work together, okay? Here we can
Okay,
be like cold together. What about Fuse Race? Do we think they're strong?
Fish Rays, they are a strong team. I think we can put them in playoffs. Maybe I don't know about. I don't know.
Have you seen their bracket? Is all I will say on that one.
I think it's.
I have
it's
seen
not.
absolutely nothing, and I refuse to talk further on this. We will speak only of predictions.
I'd say I'd put them on the hunt.
On the hunt.
On the hunt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good.
I would.
There's
Yeah.
potential.
I
There's
would,
potential.
yeah.
I think-
They'd have to get some decent upsets is all I'm saying about that. But, best of luck to Fierce Trace. I know they need it. They wanted me to shout them out and say they can do this. So you got this, Fierce Trace. You can get the victories.
Yeah. I think maybe Blood KyriuDo in mid-season though. Yeah, but yeah, I think that
Mid-season. Okay. So
I mean,
I think we pulled it
come
down
on,
a little bit.
I'm a little bit
We'll
biased,
put
but
them in playoffs for now. We'll put them in playoffs. for now.
okay.
Okay.
I mean, they are
What
like
we're gonna do actually for mid-season, aside from VP, we're gonna have a vote of everyone that we put in playoffs. Put it in chat and have chat decide who they think is gonna be that second team.
Wait. So how many are in the playoffs? Is it
Playoffs is 8 teams total.
eight,
so we need
8 teams? Okay. Jesus
6.
Christ.
I think 6 more we need. Yeah.
Okay. I think I can pull off some. And okay, we can just disagree with this if there's any you disagree with. Zero Tenacity, Young Kanda, 0%. Red Esports, which is now the team 1.
Yep.
Then we
yeah,
have
I agree.
Meluki's team. What's it called? I don't. The Saudi Arabian team. I don't.
Q80.
Q80. Yeah. Okay. Then we need 2 more, right? Berber as well. Yeah. Well, and now it's getting.
That is 8 total teams.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay. My bad. Yeah. There you go. All right. Perfect. Now we solved that problem.
Yeah, I think that works. Yeah, and then. Okay, and then. What team is that on the first one in the
this
images?
one? That's Insomnia.
That's Insomnia's logo. Okay. Insomnia. Ooh.
Who even plays for Insomnia? I forgot. I can't lie.
They're a good team, but I don't know about.
All I will say is they play a team we already have in O2 supposedly. So
all right, so we put them on the hunt. I think.
On the
I think
hunt.
that'd be
Gonna be on the hunt.
Yeah. And then L9. Oh goodness gracious! I feel like L9
people
is not a.
saying L9 is pretty decent.
Yeah, I feel like they're not a bad roster.
Oh God, this is hard to do without saying things.
I think L9 can pull something out of their head where.
Yeah, we'll put L9 on the hunt for now. I think all business and maybe Peps for.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I scrimmed like the only 3 teams I scrim is like L9, Rad, and then like VP. But like, I'm not gonna lie. Like L9 is harder than Rad, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to do that switch? Actually,
I mean,
hold up.
why not?
That's
Give
a little
people
spicy.
the screenshots. Swap it around.
That's a little spicy.
Let's
We're
start
topic
Twitter.
Rad and L9.
I think that's crazy.
Let's start Twitter. Why not?
Are you sure? At that point, I feel like we should swap
you don't need to switch because I think all of the players on the roster, like I think Rad's roster is like stronger in my opinion. But like,
I think L9 is not gonna. I think L9 has some good players, but I don't feel like it's a serious team, to be honest. Maybe I'm wrong.
I can't speak for Sprinter. I haven't really watched them play. So as far as I'm concerned, I would still put Rads above them. But I mean, hey, if Cyber's been playing them and he says that they're harder, he's got the first-hand experience.
Maybe, yeah. And then
that's all business in O2, isn't it? Or is that on the?
Yeah, then we need one more in O2.
Yeah, we need one more in
Yeah,
O2.
it'll be all business then.
Yeah, but they are. Yeah, that's with all business. No?
Yeah.
We need one more in O2, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Ooh.
I mean, like, shit. This is hard, actually.
Makes it tough, doesn't it?
Do we wanna? I mean, I don't wanna say anything, but there's. Oh God, you can't like.
What are we feeling? What are we feeling?
So it's one team from on the hunt into O2, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
We could
I
leave
think
it
it's
up
at
in
the
the chat.
I think it's either first race or Insomnia. I just want to say that right now.
Who? Sorry.
First race or Insomnia. I'll put in O2.
Based on what I've seen of the bracket, it makes more sense for it to be first race. Unfortunately.
Bracket? What bracket? It hasn't been released.
It hasn't been released. I've seen it, is what I could say. And they've got a tough journey, is all I got to say about that.
Okay, well, let's put first race.
I agree with that.
Thanks for forgiveness, first race. We know you guys are great, but you got a really bad draw, is all I got to say.
Yeah, they're a very good team. But
I feel bad for them because there's a good team without a doubt. But
excuse my French, they get shafted.
They get shafted.
I need to see. Yeah. So let me see. So we got Rad, we got Berber, Patapim, got 0%. Alcacia, 52. Okay, yeah, I think this is possible. I'm just checking my sources. But let me ask chat who they think is going to be in the mid-season. So you guys don't have to decide yourselves.
Okay, that sucked, man. I hate doing that.
It's rough, yeah.
Damn, man, I feel bad for some people. How the fuck did you guys do this with like every team last time? Jesus, man.
Is there a team in playoffs that we don't think is going to make mid-season?
Oh God, I don't.
I can only put 5 spots on this.
Yeah, I want to say it, but I think JoRoCo, if you have, I don't know if you think the same as me. Can you speak your mind first, please?
3, 2, 1. We can both say 3, 2, 1. We both say the same team.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Young Carter.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, well, see yourself out, sir. That is rude.
Nah, Knuten, you're pussy, bro.
I mean, like, I have to play it safe, bro. I have to play it safe.
I did just get baited. Wow.
Okay, well, we need one more that's not going to make mid-season. So, Knuten, we need one from you then.
Yep.
Brother. Maybe between Young Kata and the Saudi Arabian team. All right, I'm being honest.
So we'll say those two teams won't make mid-season. They have potential, of course. A lot of these teams still have potential for upsets. It's a double elimination bracket. Anything can happen. We do have to specify on this. Take these with a grain of salt. But for teams to potentially make mid-season, so Blood Kariudo, Zero Tenacity, we have 0%. We'll get them mixed up. I'll actually put Z10 just to make it easier for Zero Tenacity.
I love Blood JoRoCo.
Then Blood JoRoCo, that's awesome. Rad Esports and Berber Patapim. So chat, let us know. We got a minute on this poll on who you think who will make mid-season. And only one of them can, supposedly. This is alleged. We don't know 100%. Just have to specify on that. One of these teams can make it. Who will it be? Put it in chat.
My money's on BR Patapim.
Berber Patapim?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking Patapim's got a chance.
Probably, yeah.
It's pretty close for the... Well, now it's not. We got 6 votes on Berber Patapim. 7 votes on Patapim. It's tied between Kariudo, Z10, and 0%, and Rad Esports for everyone else. There's some good teams in EMEA, I gotta say. Shout out to you guys. Only no Pokey. 12 for Berber Patapim. Okay, I feel like this is a pretty one-sided so far. So we got Berber Patapim, unless some like team gets a lot of rallying support behind them to make that mid-season. If it's only 2 teams from EMEA.
All I can really say, Blood JoRoCo has been putting in the work. We've been putting in the work. I think we have good chances.
Good chances. We'll see. I mean, I'm excited for these brackets whenever they come out, and whatever they look like, and what the groups look like.
Can I throw a hot take out there with this being the standings?
Yeah.
I think Berber Patapim is one of those teams where either they really make it or they really break it. They have such a high level and such a low level.
People were saying last week too.
Yeah. I really think if they start mentally booming, it's cooked. They're done. They're not gonna make it. I don't think so. But if they keep up the mental energy and they just play at the highest level, they can take some pretty goddamn good teams.
I respect it. So if they peak, Berber Patapim. If not, let me see what the poll said. If I can find it again. For who else there was. Nah, I can't find it. Either way, that's how the poll went on that side. So Berber Patapim, we have top 2 with VP, Playoffs, Bud Kariudo, in no particular order to specify. Zero Tenacity, Yoinconda, 0%, Alcancia, and Rat Esports. On the Hunt, Smungus, Insomnia, Team Peps, and L9. And then O2, we have Dusty, OG, All Business, and First Strays. So screenshot, I'll post it on socials later, but this is what we have right now for this on how that could potentially go. We didn't do it for Americas, though, is all I got to say on this one. So, I mean, how you feel about this, Cyber, on who's going to be in the mid-season specifically? So we said, 100 Thieves are going to be there. Dark Zero, I think it was. FlyQuest.
NVO2, no? NVO2, yeah?
NVO2? Yeah, I got you.
O2, I think so.
Who was another team? So we said Nightmare was going to go O2 potentially.
Okay. Those teams, the last teams that should be playoffs, and then some of those teams in the playoffs bracket should be mid-season are Nemesis and Shroud-X, in my opinion.
Nemesis and Shroud-X for mid-season?
Or no, playoffs, but could maybe move up to mid-season.
Oh, gotcha. Nemesis and Shroud-X. Okay. And what about Citadel? Where we feel they're at?
I feel like it depends. They could be swapped out with Solaris. I think Solaris is on the cusp of being in that bracket.
Like that, basically.
Yeah. All those teams, literally all those teams, including Solaris too. Honestly, they should be there.
All right. So Luminosity, I think they'll be on the hunt based on the bracket that we did earlier. This is what it was as a reminder for that bracket. We had Ego Def and Shikigami going 0-2, so let me put them down there. Jobless Bums you had on the hunt. Techie you did as well. Lonnie Wind, I think you had 0-2. If I'm not mistaken on this. So out of playoff, mid-season, who's got the best odds to make mid-season?
It's gonna be Envy and then 100 Thieves. They have the best odds to make mid-season. Out of any team.
That makes sense. Yeah. Honestly, decent lineup. I know Shikigami and Nightmare. They're probably stop doubting us. They got to prove themselves, though, on this one. Alani Wind hate is not okay. Hey, I'm not hating Alani Wind. We did see the bracket earlier for Alani Wind. I think that was before. Jesse, if you can bring that bracket up again, I don't know if you can, for Alani Wind specifically. Or not Alani Wind, that pool. I can't remember if it was A or B. It's the one that has Alani Wind in it, though. Let me see if I can end my screen share for a sec. Yeah, there we go. So they play Sentinels. If they lose against Sentinels, they would play BG7. So it's BG1. No, BG2 lost. So they would play against Nightmare likely. So Alani could win that one. So Alani or Nightmare, one of those have to not go 0-2 based on that from what we're seeing here.
Yeah, no.
So out of those two teams, how are you feeling?
I think Alani one takes that.
Okay. So Alani moves up. Techie XD Shroud-X. You think Shroud-X takes that?
It go either way, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I'm friends with all the guys on that team, so I feel like I'm the best qualified to say that. Bro, these guys are qualified chokers, historic chokers.
You know what? We'll put this one up to chat. This will be a fun one. We'll go through this bracket with chat and see what they think. So,
those guys are historic chokers, historic chokers, bro.
Shroud-X, they didn't do as good as they wanted to in the Shroud Gauntlet themselves, but they had a tough bracket as well. So
and Fight Night, bro, and Fight Nights and MRCs, everything, bro. Choke City with them, bro, everywhere.
I mean, yeah, it happens.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I put the
I'm just
poll
saying.
in chat. ShroudX or TechieXD, who you think's gonna come out on top for that one?
I mean, in my opinion, though, I think ShroudX should win, but like, it's like really like, I don't know if they got it. They're making me start to doubt them. I was their number one supporter. Now I'm like thinking,
Oh man, it's pretty close. 3-5 right now. TechieXD taking the lead. 4-6 currently. Almost at the 30-second remaining mark on this poll. Get your votes in though on who you think's gonna come out on top.
I mean, yeah, I personally got ShroudX.
I think what's amazing with this is that we do these predictions, and then there's going to be so many amazing upsets, and that's the awesome part about esports.
That's the fun
Exactly,
part.
yeah.
The fun thing.
Let's see. So we have TechieXD supposedly taking that. So TechieXD over ShroudX. I mean, ShroudX would play against the loser of Dark Zero and Nemesis. No shot. So technically, one of ShroudX, Nemesis, and Dark Zero could go 0-2 based on this bracket.
Yeah, no, definitely a really funny bracket.
That's crazy. Is all I gotta say. Okay, so you're saying chat's saying TechieXD gets that win. So that means either ShroudX or Nemesis goes 0-2. Because you said, Dark Zero, you guys are kind of rooting for yourself. I got to give you guys that. Shout out to the, Nemesis people in chat and Artie. He was supposed to be on today, but he's on like a flight from Indonesia from doing the World Clash for Fragpunk. But for those two teams, I think we got to say ShroudX, and that end is going 0-2 then, right?
Yeah. I mean, I personally
Terrible.
I mean, bruh. I mean, I'm in the minority opposed to chat. I think ShroudX should win that match, personally.
Over Techie? Okay.
Yeah, I think they should.
So
I think they
Techie
should.
go 0-2 then.
Yeah, that's why I think.
Okay. Chat's hating. Chat's on the hater rate against ShroudX right now. Oof. False. Does anyone have Techie scrim results? I don't have Techie scrim results, unfortunately.
I mean, I've
ShroudX
scrimmed against them like 3 times. We were like kind of meeting on them the first 2 times, and then like the third time, like they like fought back.
Okay. We'll keep Techie down there for now. So we'll say ShroudX gets that win, and then either Dark Zero or Nemesis face them in that winners to make it into the top 4 from that. So moving forward, Nemesis would take that win. BG, what is that? BG 9. So it's BG 8 winner versus BG 5 loser. So BG 5, that's the top one. So it would be Citadel. Oh my gosh. Citadel versus Citadel versus Nemesis. Only one of those can make playoffs. This bracket is cooked.
I know it's way different than the other side of the bracket, because the other side of the bracket, you already know who's going to be there, but you don't know who's going to be there on this side.
Or
of the
like
bracket.
Sentinels make it, and then it's like, okay, Citadel moves down. They play the winner of ShroudX or TechieXD and Dark Zero and Nemesis, which is crazy. So Nemesis, chat saying Nemesis would take that over Citadel. So
over Citadel? Nah, I don't know about that.
I've watched a couple of Citadel. They are a strong team. I mean, during I think it was the Ignite qualifiers, they ended up having to play on the Sao Paulo servers. Like all their players were on 300
that's
ping.
true, yeah.
Enemy teams that they're going up against knew they were at an advantage. They banned all of the spam characters that could have beat when playing on ping, and they still came out like very much on top. So I don't know. They're a really strong team, and they can pull some stuff out of the bag when they want to.
Yeah, I mean,
put a poll up to just see what people are saying. So Citadel or Nemesis, you got a minute to get your votes in on who you think would take that victory there.
I mean, my perspective is that we haven't seen enough of this Citadel roster because they got new pieces. They have new pieces. We haven't seen enough of this Citadel roster to convince me that they can go to the highs that Nemesis can go to, because Nemesis had some really high highs. In Fight Night, they beat Envy, and they beat like a weaker Envy before they got Speedly, but it's still a good Envy roster. And then they also beat 100 Thieves. So like they haven't hit the same highs as Citadel for me.
That's valid. I can see that for sure. Chat is saying Nemesis would get that win as well over Citadel on their side. So Citadel out of the playoffs on their end. I think Solaris, based on what we were talking about with the bracket before, would make playoffs from what we saw. Yeah, that was correct because they would get the win over Jobless themselves. So this is rough though, because like we're not technically power ranking these for these teams, but it's just based on like how these brackets that were posted. Shout out to Mace on socials for that. On how it can potentially be for these brackets. So it's like 100 Thieves Envy, they'll probably make it. You know, Dark Zero, you guys, you got to win against Nemesis, and then either TechieXC or ShroudX. Tough bracket. If you don't, then you have to still go into a tough match in the lower brackets as well. So it's like just a rough go all around for all those teams that are in this bracket, aside from Sentinels. So we know Sentinels, we know FlyQuest. And yeah, this is basically, I'll share my screen again on how it's going to like look based on how we kind of went through this with chat and how this looks currently. Let me go to the presentation mode of this is like the mid-season teams, the playoff teams, the on the hunt, and the 0-2s, just based on like brackets and bracket luck from what we've seen. So Shikigami, Nightmare going 0-2, EgoDef and TechieXD, Luminosity, Jobless Buns, Bums, not Buns, Alati Wind, Citadel, and Shroud X on the hunt for playoffs. They could still make it depending on how some of those matches go. And then playoffs will have Dark Zero, FlyQuest, Sentinels, Nemesis, Solaris, and then mid-season likely 100 Thieves and Envy. I mean, how do you feel after seeing all this, Cyber? Of like, because of the brackets, this is where it's potentially going to end up.
Yeah, this is kind of how I see it. I think maybe Citadel, or like, I think like instead of like Solaris, you could put like ShroudX or Citadel, same with Nemesis. Like you put ShroudX, Citadel, even my team, bro. Like I think
It's tough though because they're in different brackets.
Like literally all 5 of those teams are interchangeable, honestly.
Oh man.
All 5 of those teams are like really interchangeable, in my opinion.
Oh, there is one team that I'm missing. That's right. Who am I missing?
I think that's one of the fun things when it comes to America. Like when you look at EMEA, you've got obviously the top couple of teams. You're like VP being an absolute dominant force within EMEA for so long, but within America's, like within all the top teams, they're all quite close, and I feel like anyone can really get above one another.
I mean, I will say that I'll have to say that about this is like one thing about my team, bro. Like, oh my god, if we just lock in and put the bullshit aside in practice, bro, we could be so good, bro. Like, it's so good. It's like so crazy how good we could be.
I think that can be said for a lot of teams, to be honest.
Yeah, I know.
That's correct.
That is a lot of teams, though.
I think that was like going back to like what I said earlier about having a good prize pool with the incentive to play so often. Like so many people are like have lives, have time, and they need, like, if you did have the opportunity to, I guess not sacrifice, but put your all into it, a lot of teams could go really far.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And just based off this bracket, ShroudX can make it into the playoffs if they lose their series against either you guys or Nemesis, if they beat TechieXD on the other side. So Citadel, I mean, based on what we've seen, if they beat Sentinels, they make playoffs, which would be huge for them. That would just throw everything for a whirl, because then whoever goes to the lower bracket is just going to have hell against them there. But yeah, this is what it's looking like based on what we talked about with the brackets so far, the potentials of these teams, but also just bad bracket luck for some of these squads because of how the seeding worked before. Thankfully, the seeding for season 2, or stage 2, not season 2, basically season 2, is going to be a bit different because it's 8 teams who make it into the playoffs get guaranteed spots in stage 2. Then it's 2 from MRC, and then I forget what the actual qualifications were after that. I'll have to go back and find it because I know they posted it at some point for season 2 for that as well. But yeah, there's like so many different intricacies to think about when it comes to Ignite and all these teams just trying to compete in it, keep themselves in the competition. Here's what it is. Okay, there's still going to be open qualifiers, but there'll only be 6 spots from open qualifiers that time. So 2 from MRC, 6 from open qualifiers for Americas and EMEA, 4 for China, Asia, and OCE for that. So For
From
OCE,
MRC?
they only get 4 slots into top 4 because they have 8 teams that are qualified. So it's basically the top cut guarantees themselves a spot into the next stage. So that means Citadel, Luminosity, Jobless Bums. I keep saying Buns. Alani Wind, Nightmare, Shigami, Ego Def, and Techie XD would have to qualify again if they don't make playoffs. And then looking at EMEA as well, Shmungus, Insomnia, Team Peps, L9, Dusty, OG Seed, All Business, and First Strays would have to qualify again as well. But all of them can't qualify. Only 6 of them can. Is something to think about. So it's gonna be spicy.
I'm sorry. Did you say there was 2 teams from the MRC?
Yeah, 2 from MRC, and these teams can't play in MRC, from my understanding, right?
No, Ignite can't play in MLC.
Yeah. So 2 of the teams that you see on this list are not going to be in stage 2.
Hold up. Can we go back to NA? Because like I want to say some like things about it, but this is gonna like affect like certain people's like opinions. I'm not gonna lie. I think from like the playoffs teams, I think the teams that are most likely, in my opinion, to stay like just like as playoff teams are or like the most likely to get upset out of these teams, in my opinion, is like Sentinels. I think if anyone's gonna get upset out of these teams by any team, it's gonna be Sentinels, probably.
Okay. Looking back at their bracket again, I'll just do it on my end, Jesse, so you don't have to bring it up. Sentinels, they play Alani Wind, so Alani Wind, I don't think they're gonna upset that one, but we could see Citadel getting an upset against them. That'd be huge. I know like old Boom Crew roster, they've gotten some good like scrim results I've heard against some of the top teams out there. They warmed up a lot of them for MRI and MRC, if I'm not mistaken.
They also got good pieces too. Like Mason, like Valentina Eve are really good pieces in my opinion for a team. I think Mason's like a good individual player, and then Valentina Eve is great at their role.
Yeah, we don't know the format for stage 2. They're probably just focusing on stage 1 because, again, they had to delay things a week and get everything set that way. But if you want to bring it back to us, Jesse, we can kind of go and take some questions from chat if you guys have anything to like round out our last couple of minutes for this episode. But we've pretty much gone over everything that we were thinking about talking through here specifically. I guess out of the teams that make midseason, so we have 100 Thieves, Envy, VP, and Berber Patapim. Where would we kind of rank these teams? VP number 1, I'm assuming, just because that's kind of like where most people have them. But aside from that, I mean, Knuten, how do you feel that those teams fare against each other?
I'm gonna be a little biased, but I think EU team slams the other teams. I can't lie. Okay. I'm sorry. And like I think EU in general just slams all the teams. Maybe there's some Asia teams like who, unbeknownst to us, really just come in and just like really show the gods of the game. But otherwise, I think EU just slams compared to NA.
Okay. Would you agree with that, JoRoCo?
I think I agree. I think maybe one of the top 2 teams like Envy and such would compete with them. But I think overall, in terms of regions, I think EMEA is significantly stronger than America's.
Cyber, what do you think?
You already know what I'm gonna say, man. That's cap.
That's cap.
That's cap. Yeah, that's cap.
This is the annoying thing because obviously, no matter which server you play on, someone's going to be on 180 ping, so you can't have a fair fight.
Yeah, that's why I hope the rumor is wrong about it just being 8 teams in mid-season. I would love for us to have a top 16. I know since it's the first season, maybe logistics-wise, it just doesn't work out for them, and that's why they're only going with 8, supposedly, for that as well. But, I mean, just talking about the potential for this this international competition that's out there. I mean, Genji's probably going to be that team from Asia, right? They look so strong, and we've seen how good they were in previous performances. OCE, I'm curious on how that is. Matt, see if you're in chat. Let me know who you think the best OCE team is out there, if there's anyone who knows OCE pretty well. I just should actually bring up their specifics on the teams that are out there. So let me look up the Wikipedia for Marvel Rivals real quick on who the OCE potential representative is for them. So I know they've had a couple of roster changes. So they have Conga, Platinum Star hasn't announced yet, Ground Zero, Quetzal, Xavier Hope, Bethany, Pig Team, and Gapped. I know a lot of people were saying Ground Zero was decent. Conga stuck together and had a couple of changes there. Best team on paper, yeah. So Nuck saying cap. Nuck, are you saying cap about 130 ping? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Aren't ready for Windows Wolverine. I got you. NA Stomps EU is what the chat's saying on this. You know what? Let's put this up to a vote on who they think is going to be the region to win the mid-season events. That's what we'll do here.
And that's one what's going to be fun about the LAN. You get to see both, all the international teams come together, and then who really is the best team, without any ping differential, without anything.
So yeah, EMEA, Americas, China, Asia, and OCE. Let's see what chat says for who they think is going to be the best region. Probably going to be biased because I have a lot of Americans in the chat right now, so we'll take that with a grain of salt. But aside from that, get your votes in on who you think is going to be the best region here. We have EMEA actually doing pretty decent for right now.
All my EU folks, come on.
There we go.
Come on, man.
We got the EU folks staying up late, watching this stream. I like it.
Yeah, you've got the benefit of being 1 a.m. in EU. Of course, the Americans are going to get a higher vote.
True. I should probably put a poll out on Twitter instead. That's what I'm going to do after this episode and see what people say. We'll bring that up on the next episode of Rivals and Rants on who you think is going to be the region that wins mid-season. If it's only 8 teams, if it's 16, I feel like there's more chances, of course, for some of those stronger regions to have that victory for them. But right now, it's really close. EMEA 8, 7 for Americas, none for the other regions. Nobody's got hope for China, Asia, or OCE.
I don't necessarily think that nobody's got hope. I think we just haven't seen as much of China, Asia, and OCE.
Oh my goodness. It changed really quickly. But EMEA gets the victory here, 10-8. I think that's just with Virtus Pro. It's kind of undeniable that a lot of people are saying that they're the best team right now. Really just goes to show, like, okay, what is that second team going to fit ranking wise in there? And that's what's going to be fun once we know like the actual teams for mid-season. We can rank them ourselves. Just we won't know for sure because, again, as you're mentioning, JoRoCo, they haven't played on LAN yet. I hope there's more LANs in the future than just a mid-season and a grand final, because I think we need more international on LAN or even in just a studio competition for these teams. I mean, seeing how things, Cyber, you were talking about the ping issues that I think it was Nemesis had because they had to play some of the South American teams. And like some of those South American teams could have qualified if they were on like an even playing field, depending on how those matches went. I mean, how do you feel about that?
South Americans got lucky, bro. They're on 200 ping, bro. Every other team is on fucking like, all right, the other way around. Every other team is on 200 ping. The other teams are on fucking like 30 ping. Like the South Americans are just playing on 30, 20 ping, bro. They got lucky, bro.
Okay. Well, we'll see once we get to more international competition. But any final thoughts from you guys about the kind of calm before the storm as we're about to start season 1 or stage 1 of Ignite, week 1 here? We'll start with you, Knuten. Any thoughts?
I mean, I'm just excited to play, honestly. I thought it would be a longer wait time, but then I blink and then half my life has gone by and I'm playing Ignite in 4 days. So I'm excited to show what we got as a team, and I'm excited to see what everyone else pulls out the bag. I expect a lot of stuff that hasn't been shown yet to be pulled out. Like I think there's gonna be so much penny bullshit out there, and that's what haunts me to this day that there's gonna be a thing. But I think penny is low-key a viable option, and just so much new stuff, everything's just new. With a new season and new hero, obviously, Ultron being apparently super strong, even though everyone thought he was weak. So
pretty good.
I'm glad. I can't wait to see what's gonna go on and who wins. The upset's gonna be awesome, and I'm just everything's awesome.
Heck yeah, everything is awesome. That's all you need to know from Knuten. What about you, JoRoCo? How you feeling? What's your excitement level? Any shout outs or things of that sort? I mean, Knuten, do you have a shout out to anyone before I actually give this to JoRoCo? I forgot.
I mean, just again, I want to shout out the tier 2 soon. It's just as important as tier 1. So go watch MRC as much as you want to watch Ignite. I say it every time, and I will continue saying it, that without a tier 2 scene, the esports scene will die, and if the esports scene dies, the player dies, and the game dies. We've seen it happen multiple times. So let's support the tier 2 scene, so, like leagues like the Valhalla Order, are teams that you want to really participate in. It's your playground to show that you are a good team. So shout out to the tier 2 organizers.
Shout out to tier 2. Shout out to Valhalla Order. Shout out to everyone who's putting on events. I mean, big kudos to them. Okay, JoRoCo, sorry to interrupt you there, but if you want to give us your shout outs, your thoughts, any final moments you want to showcase on stream before we send things away.
I have nothing but excitement. I think this is a game that I have been wholeheartedly enjoying since December of its release. Everything has felt like it's gone really quickly in these last couple of months. I mean, we've shot up to the first Ignite tournament, and again with like the new patch and everything dropping. I mean, most other games you wait until after the tournament to open up new characters or new maps, and I kind of love how chaotic everything is. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited to see what happens. There's going to be some great wins. There's going to be some upsets, but yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. And I completely agree with Knuten. Esports wouldn't exist without tier 2, so make sure you nurture your tier 2 scene. And I think every team having almost an equal opportunity to get to a high place and compete and play. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be awesome to see.
Can't wait. Best of luck to the teams that are competing as well in MRC and in Ignite there as well. And Cyber, I mean, any final thoughts from you before we close out the show today?
I want to say one thing, like, first of all, thanks to I really appreciate my IRLs. Like, if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't even be trying to like do this like again, because I like tried and failed in Overwatch, and I wouldn't have even tried again in this game if it wasn't for them. So I really appreciate them a lot. And also, I like appreciate like the environment that I'm in right now. I really like my team. It's like good. Like, even though like you may hear like from other people like what I say about my team, like them pissing me off, I really do appreciate the environment that I'm in right now. It's really good.
All chill. That's what people need to recognize. There's no actual beef happening with a lot of stuff, and it's just great to see that these opportunities are available to you guys and to people that are competing, and that there's an actual esports scene for tournaments being run and everything else. I mean, yeah, we can say everything we want about, timings are weird and we don't have all the details about certain stuff, but once it gets going, once everything's underway, we have the matches being streamed, we have the reports of an upset happening, as you were talking about, Knuten, and every single day for Thursday to Sunday, we're going to have so much content of Marvel Rivals Esports that when I do the next episode of this, there's going to be so many results to just break down and upsets and teams going home. We're already going to know 2 of our teams who make it into playoffs for each of the pools for Americas and EMEA on Sunday, apparently, based on the schedule that they posted. So there's going to be so much insanity happening in just a couple of days. So make sure you're tuning in on the Marvel Rivals Esports, or the Marvel Rivals Twitch and YouTube. I think they have specific ones for the region. So it's Marvel Rivals AMER, M-A-E-R, or A-M-E-R, excuse me, I can't spell. For Americas, I think it's Marvel Rivals EMEA for EMEA, and then it kind of goes like the same for the rest of them. I'm going to post the article or the blog post in chat so you can look at all the details. I'm sure most people that are in the chat know it, but if you go all the way to the bottom, it shows the new channels that they opened up, or ones that they've used in the past for like beta tournaments and things of that sort. Make sure you follow those, because that's where they're going to be streaming specific region streams on top of, I think, their mainstream. Yeah. What were you saying, Cyber?
Yeah, I have one more thing to say. Also, shout out to like all the other teams I'm competing against. I really understand like the work that other teams are putting in, and it's like really nice to see, because like bro, like people I don't know, like if other teams do this, but I'm looking at everyone's game when I play the game. It's not even just our game. Like, I'm looking at other people's games too. So, like, shout out them.
That's what we love to hear. Shout out to the competitors that are showing up and making this esport what it is, because if we didn't have players, if we didn't have teams that were actually interested in this stuff, we wouldn't have any sport. So biggest shout outs to everyone who is making this a possibility. My biggest shout out is to Jesse in the background, who's made this a possibility to keep these shows running. Without him, I wouldn't be able to actually put these on. So got to give him the biggest of shout outs. If you're looking for a producer or anything, just staying alive on social media. Jesse, if you want to post that somewhere in chat, if you're listening still, we can put that out there just for people to be like, hey, you should hire this guy because he does a great job. But either way, thank you for tuning in to episode 7 of Rivals and Rants. This is the dawn of the first week of Marvel Rivals Ignite, the start of Tier 1 for this game. It's going to be amazing. Make sure you tune in on Thursday for that. I might have some coverage I'll be doing as well outside of it. So follow the channel, follow all these guys, Knuten, JoRoCo, and Cyber. And we'll see you on the flip side.